Hey everyone, my name is John Marty. Welcome to Uncommon by Design. So I came across a post on Quora where there's a young kid questioning whether or not he should go to college. And he said, I'm still in high school and it sounds like people live in their parents' basements and work at McDonald's anyway after they go to college. Plus, they're like $40,000 in debt. Is college even worth it? So this is a topic that I really want to address today, and I think it's a lot harder decision now than it was in the past. My parents' generation was told that if they went to college, they would have a great career, and my parents told me the same thing, but I don't think that's exactly the case anymore for certain situations. So if you want to go down a traditional career path, or if you want to be in corporate America now or sometime down the road, I think you absolutely need to go to college. You can take all the online courses you want, if you're trying to get into the traditional job market with no college. But in most cases, the free education doesn't really hold any weight for HR managers, recruiters, or corporations. They really could care less that you did online courses or Udemy courses for 50 bucks. What they care about is that you went to college. And if you went to a good college. And that's really the sad truth. We're just really not there yet as a society to accept free education as a form of legitimate education, even though you might have spent way more time and been way more driven with your free education than someone that went to college. So I think the decision to go to college or not depends on the type of college that you're considering. And this is just my opinion, but what I mean by this is that there are 3 levels of college. You have your Ivy League schools, your state schools, and then what I consider to be a whole bunch of random colleges and community colleges. Your Ivy League is your gold standard. And if you can get into a top 10, maybe a top 20 school, I think it's absolutely a no-brainer to go, even though it is a little more expensive. The next level is the middle of the road. And this would be like a state school or something that's at least recognizable, but not Ivy League. And still here, I think it's, for the most part, I think it's worth going because these are schools that are recognized. Last, you have the bottom tier schools. These are the colleges that nobody's really ever heard of, random online programs that you may hear about on the radio. And if this is the type of college that you're considering, I think it might actually be good to consider alternatives. Here's the thing, I really dislike the traditional education model. By the time you graduate after 4 years, whatever you learned is obsolete, more so now than ever. But despite this, and as much as I really dislike the traditional college model, the middle and top tier schools give you 2 things. The first is a stamp of credibility on your resume, and the second is a network that you can tap into that becomes really valuable into the future. And I think those are really the only 2 things. Bottom tier schools are probably not going to give you much of either one of those things, and the average salary of people that come out of a bottom tier school may actually not be that high. So if you're considering a random school for the sake of cost, which I totally understand, it might be worth looking at a couple additional options. Option number 1 would be that you could go to a trade school. The average salary out of a trade school is around $45,000, and your time commitment is going to be 1 year or less. And this is about the same average salary as someone who spends 4 years in college. You could get good at a trade, maybe even leverage that into starting a company, and there's a big shortage of people in specific trades, so you can leverage that up. Option number 2, there are a ton of 6-month boot camps that teach kids and adults how to become software engineers, and the average salary for a lot of the kids and adults that are coming out of these boot camps are, without college at all, are about $70,000 plus, and I think this is definitely worth exploring. Option number 3, you could start a company. Now look, I think this is risky and not nearly as glamorous as a lot of people make it out to be. You are definitely going to work your ass off if you start a company. It can be very rewarding though, but there are no guarantees that you'll be successful. So it depends on how much risk that you're willing to take on now and down the road. Here's my recommendation. Ultimately, if you're young and you don't know what you want to do with your life, I don't want you to default into the answer of, oh, this should just mean that I should go to college. college isn't the only answer. It should be one of the many things that you consider down the road, but there are enough options out there today that might yield better results for you. And in some cases, they're better than getting a 4-year degree, and most of them are cheaper and require less time commitment. My last point here is that don't necessarily think that the $40,000 to $60,000 of debt should be the thing that ultimately deters you from looking at a middle tier or top tier college. This tends to scare a lot of people, and I mean, no doubt the college cost is ridiculous, but you can set up a student loan for about 30 years, so $40,000 over a 30-year period is around $200 or less a month, so that's really not too bad. For me, I decided to go to college, I decided to get my MBA and go to software school because I think that the world we live in is extremely competitive. So whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to go into a trade school down the road or maybe even a traditional career path, I think college gives you leverage, even if you don't think that it will right now. Whatever you wind up doing, I wish you the best of luck. These are really big decisions, and I hope you found this helpful. I encourage you to leave a comment below and pass the video along if you or someone you know is struggling to make a decision on going to college or not. Thanks so much. That's what I got for you today. Until next time.